Hey everybody, welcome to the Take 5 Art Challenge for the month of July. The prompts this month were brought to us by the lovely Lucy. Thank you, Lucy. I really had a challenge this time round. The prompts this time round, and I'm putting them up on the screen for you, is plants, and you can see here that I am gathering, I'm showing you all these leaves and plant materials that I picked up from my backyard and a few from my recent walk. And I really don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just putting them there with me so that I can get some inspiration. The second challenging prompt was to use your least favorite art supply. And believe it or not, I am reaching for sprays. I have two here. One is Tattered Angels Chalkboard Glimmer Mist, and the other is a Heidi Swapp Citron. I chose the color green because, plants green. I'll talk about that a little bit later. The third prompt is yellow, and I'm reaching for cadmium yellow acrylic paint. The fourth prompt is your favorite quote, and I'm reaching for my Signo Uniball pen, which I'm going to write my quote with. And the last prompt, which was again, quite challenging, heads up to Lucy for these really challenging prompts, something recycled. So what I chose to go for was this CD paper sleeves with a clear window. So yes, these are for CDs, but what are those? We don't use them anymore. So I thought what I would do is maybe use them as a keepsake pocket and put in some of the flowers that I picked up on my walk. So those are the prompts. These are my materials. Let's get started on my page. So I'm going to start off with my quote, and I'm going to start off with a pencil first, just to make sure that the text is in the right place and that the letters are at the right height and that it's not like all sloping down, that it's pretty straight. I always do a pencil first, then I go over with pen, and then I erase. The quote this month I've chosen is one that says, "Adopt the pace of nature, her secret is patience." This is a quote by Emerson, and it really is a very apt quote for me at the moment, at this time of my life. I feel like I need a whole lot of patience to be poured on me for what we're going through at the moment. Nothing too major, but definitely needing a lot of patience in my life at the moment. The next thing I'm reaching for here is one of my leaves. So this is prompt number 1, which is plant. I'm also using prompt number 3, which is using yellow paint, or using the color yellow, and I'm choosing to use acrylic paint. And what I'm doing is I'm using this leaf as like a stamp. So I'm using the yellow as like my color, and then I'm using the leaf to stamp the print of the leaf on my page. And it's kind of messy work, and I'm actually enjoying it, and I love the texture of the leaf coming through on my page. I'm swapping out leaves for one of the little ones here, and I actually love how this one gives you, it looks like the print looks like more of a flower than a leaf. So I turn it into a flower, you'll see in a little bit, but I like how those two different prints are very different to each other. Once I've dried that with my heat gun, I'm reaching for some gray ink here and my script stamp from Kaiser Craft, and all I'm doing is just stamping a little bit of script here, there, or all over the page, so it's not so empty and white. Now what I'm reaching for is a block of beeswax, and basically what I'm doing is I'm going to add a little bit of beeswax over the quote and over the leaf stencils, or the leaf prints. And I just want the wax to retard my next supply, which is going to be the spray ink. And what I'm going to do now is just make sure that I protect my surface. And this is the reason why these are my least favorite, is because they make a mess, and there kind of is no controlling the mess they make or the color that they give. And so it kind of just goes everywhere, and it makes my fingers dirty, it makes my workspace dirty, and it's a bit unpredictable. So what I did there was I just added an olive branch, and then I sprayed the spray over it, so it kind of acted as a mask. So you can see there the print or the leftover print of the olive branch that I used. I like how it kind of leaves a little bit of a negative print there. As I'm heating the wax off the page, it goes liquid, and so what I'm doing is I'm removing some of the color that's sitting on top of the wax. I love the areas where the script stamp is peeking through between the green spray and the yellow acrylic paint. It looks really nice, and I really love how my background turned out. So now it's time to use the prompt, which is something recycled, and I'm using these CD sleeves. What I'm doing is I'm adding double-sided sticky tape to the flap on the back, and then what I'm going to do is attach it to the page on the left-hand side. I'm now gathering some items that I've picked up on my recent walk. I've got a green sprig, a yellow daisy flower, like an African daisy, and a leaf. And they've been drying for a few days, so they're kind of flattish, and so I'm just going to put them into this little pocket. So it's going to be like a keepsake pocket for any like plant material that you've collected that you want to keep, but you don't necessarily want to put on your page because it might be brittle and it might break apart, or it might ooze some of its juices and stain your page. So I think it's really nice when it sits into this protective sleeve. As you can see, there's a stark difference between the white of the CD sleeve and the background that I've created. Now, you can always go ahead and create a similar background, but I got a little bit lazy, so I ended up using this paper from Kaiser Crafts Golden Grove. It's a lovely yellowish kind of paper with a little bit of green in it, and it matches my background perfectly. So I just cut out a little square and put it on the back there, and then I ended up putting another quote just to fill in the bottom part. It's another quote, and this quote says, "Time is measured by minutes, but life is measured by moments," and I quite love that quote. So I'm moving my attention to the front of this recycled item, and I am reaching for my Golden Grove sticker page, and I quite like this border of leaves, and I thought, it'd be so cool if I could just layer the front of this CD sleeve with leaves. Unfortunately, I didn't have too many to deal with, so I thought, might as well just add some stickers, and so I made it so that it was a whole lot of leaves and flowers covering the front of this CD sleeve, and it seems so appropriate. I really love that there's like stickers on the outside and then actual leaves and flowers on the inside, so I think it turned out really pretty. I'm reaching for my Distress crayon here. This is the color Peeled Paint, so it's another color that complements the spray that I used. And so I'm just adding a little bit of dark green around the borders just to darken up the page and give it a little bit of a contrasting edge and to create a vignette type effect. I'm now reaching for my Uniball Signo, and I'm just going around each of the like a flower type prints that I see, and I'm just going to go around them and make them pop a little bit out of the background. My Uniball Signo pen just wasn't cutting it here. There's a bit of wax and a little bit of acrylic paint which was gunking it up. So you know what? A good old-fashioned black biro usually comes through really well for me here. I'm adding a few stems, and I'm just going over some of my quote because it was covered in that chalky substance that the Glimmer Spray has in it. I then really wanted to have some real leaves in my layout, so I decided to go ahead and add some. So I've got two here, and they're going down with double-sided tape, and then what I end up doing afterwards is also adding PVA glue so that it doesn't just disintegrate in my page. I also really love this little leaf here that I created the flower prints with, so I ended up putting it down and holding it with washi tape, and washi tape is one of my favorite items, so I thought, well, if I'm going to use my least favorite, I do want to use my most favorite as well. So I love that little addition on the right hand side. And then I decided to grab a few of my olive tree or my olive leaves, and I created this sort of little, I guess, olive sprig on the left hand side, and I really like how it turned out. I start off by putting it down using just a glue stick, but then I do go over it with PVA glue to make sure that it doesn't move. And that is basically my layout for this July Take 5 Art Prompt Challenge. I hope you enjoyed it. I am very surprised with the layout that I came up with. Love how it turned out, actually. And thank you, Lucy, for some amazing prompts. Now, I can't wait to see what the other girls have done. I wonder what their least favorite supply is, and I wonder what something recycled they use. So I can't wait to hop on over and see their layouts for this month. So why don't you go ahead and do that? I'm going to leave all the links down below. Also find us on Instagram using the hashtag Take5Art. And if you are inspired by these prompts this month, go ahead and make a beautiful art layout and tag us using that same hashtag, and we'll comment and like your photos. Thank you so much for joining me, everybody, and I'll see you in my next video.